New car, new season, Team BMW. Amazing, mate. How was it for you?
I loved every second. You know, I've only been in touring cars before 2019 for a year, and it's a big step up. You know, I don't think any driver really coming into it anticipates the step up. You know, the cars aren't quite as fast as what I had been used to, but everything else is just bigger, better. Competition's harder. Moving to WSR was always an aim, you know, it's been an ambition of mine to race for Dick Bennett's and put my name alongside the likes of Senna and Hakkinen and Barrichello and obviously Turkington and Jordan. And when I signed for them, I was over the moon, and I believed I was signing to go and race for one series until they got me in a room and made me sign a load of NDAs, and then they showed us some photos, and I just instantly, you know, I was like, sign up to anything at that point. You know, I had to be in that car. It just ticks every box, you know. It's the perfect touring car on paper, and I think we showed on the racetrack it was perfect as well. It's the first car I've driven in a long time that you get in it and it just does what you want. And if it doesn't quite do what you want, you can alter your driving and it'll react, and you can alter the setup and it'll do what it should do. I mean, my car was literally finished at 3 o'clock in the morning the day before media day, and the guys transported it to the track and had an hour's sleep in the truck, and got me out running, and it just ran flawlessly. And you know, they did such a great job, and full credit. Everything that all three of us have achieved this year has been down to the team and the boys who built those cars, and BMW themselves for helping us.
So when you talk about the car being built at 3 in the morning and, you know, things being a bit late, there's 3 cars to build. It's not really that late. You probably didn't think you were going to get in a car. But when it operates well and it works well, do you just think, it's game on here, we're good?
Yeah, I mean, like I was going into the first round firmly anticipating I was going to be racing a 1 Series. You know, they'd had 2 cars built and the third one was a little bit delayed, and through no fault of their own, it was just parts and timelines and how it was working. And the boys were putting in 24-hour shifts, so there was nothing more they could do. So when we sat down for qualifying for race 1, and it was mixed conditions, first time I'd ever touched it in the wet. And after the first run, we were on pole. And we sat there for about 28 of the 30 minutes, and then Ash Sutton with his lovely Subaru beat us, and my teammates just pipped me. And you know what, from that moment on, I thought, you know what, I can really, really do something with this car.
Motorsport is known as a big team sport, full of individuals, the drivers being one of them.
Yeah.
Looking after themselves sometimes. You've spoken about your teammates, how good they are. They needed help. You had your own championship battle, but at Silverstone in particular, you know, you were called upon to help out, and talk us through it.
I've always done pretty well at Silverstone. There's only 4 corners on the track, but every single one matters, and I don't know, it just seems to suit me. So all the way through testing, I was dead happy with the car. I really, really liked it. I think pace-wise, it was sort of me and Jason Plato were sort of leading the pack, and I knew if I got the lap right with the toe, then, you know, I could be on pole. But when you get to that situation of the championship, you know, both of my teammates were in the title fight, and you know, we had a discussion at the start of the year, and everybody makes it very clear, you know, you're a team at the end of the day, and BMW have to win the constructors, and you know, one of us needs to win the drivers, and I was out of the drivers' championship, so I was very happy to help. You know, how it went down is, you know, Colin got first. He was leading the championship, so he got first refusal on who he wanted to tow round, and he picked me. So that meant AJ was working with Stephen Jelly, I think, in the other BMW. So we'd worked on it. I knew my procedure. And obviously he got the preferential treatment in terms of going first in the tow. So I towed him round. And it was difficult. He was on maximum ballast. I was on 0 ballast. And, you know, that makes quite a big difference. And I was going down the straight, having to be half throttle. I was constantly looking in my mirrors, sort of making sure he was still in the tow and getting the maximum out of it. And, yeah, I think on the first run, I got 1 lap behind Colin, and he got 3 or 4. And I was on provisional pole, and it was a real scruffy lap for me, and I knew I had another couple attempts in it, and I knew I needed another couple attempts to be on pole, because I wasn't going to stay there. And the radio call came over. Colin was in P14, and you know, he'd struggled to get the car to go with maximum ballast on, and the decision was made that I was basically going to be towing him round again, and Colin would get the first run of my tyres again. And yeah, we did 5 or 6 laps. I mean, I got over radio. He said, right, you know, he's P6. That's good. I'd drop down to P5 at this point. There was like a minute left to go, so they sort of said, you're on your own. So it was frustrating because, you know, I knew I had the pace for pole, and it would have been my first touring car pole, and I think it would have ended up with potentially my first race win as well. And yeah, that's kind of a hard pill to swallow, but good thing for me is, you know, I came straight out of the car and I was a little bit dejected. But, you know, Louise and Colin were the first ones over to me, thanking me for what I've done for Colin, and Dick Bennett's was the second over to me, and everybody sort of, you know, thanked me for what I'd done. And, you know, I think it showed, you know, he won the championship in the end, and I like to think that, you know, starting P6 with maximum ballast around Silverstone is something that helped him along that journey. And, you know, I'd do it again, but hopefully next year I'll be in a position to ask him for a favour.
So 1 year under your belt at WSR, 2020 here already, not far away from the beginning of the year. You know, what does it mean to have a second year consistently with a top team?
Being back with WSR is, you know, really important to me. I've always, throughout every championship, I've always had consistency. I've always stayed with the teams that I've run with and built upon it, and, you know, worked with them to improve. And yeah, it was always my intention to do 2 years with WSR. I'm not going anywhere, so yeah, it meant a lot. You know, I've got the same engineers working on my car. I've got a different number 1, but the same number 2. Yeah, just really, really happy. Same consistency, same everything. And I feel like I can really build on that and start the season how I left it at the last round.
Wicked. I'm sure you'll do the business, mate.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.